If you are anti-mandate, you are absolutely anti-vax. I don't care what your personal vaccination status is. If you support, champion, give a green light, give comfort to, support anybody who argues against the vaccine, you are an anti-vaxxer. Absolutely.
We want freedom! We want freedom! We want freedom!
Your personal vaccination status is utterly irrelevant. And if you are out there in any way, shape or form campaigning against this mandate, you are absolutely anti-vax. If you say pro-persuasion, stuff it, shove it.
Is making its way across Sydney this afternoon. It's travelled over some of the city's major bridges, apparently to protest the shutdown of the city's construction industry. These are live pictures coming in of the protest as it continues to make its way across Sydney streets this afternoon. For our Sydney viewers,
we are absolutely going to make sure as many Territorians as possible are vaccinated. That is our best protection against this thing.
It feels like what's happening with the COVID restrictions is just completely removed from reality and removed from being in touch with what's on the ground. Please know you're not alone. There's a lot of people who agree with you. We're here just to speak and to let our voices be heard and nothing else.
I will never back away from supporting vaccines, and anyone out there who comes for the mandate, you are anti-vax.
If you went to Australia pre-COVID, you wouldn't have noticed much of a difference between the freedoms you had in any other first world democracy compared to it. However, over the last year, things have drastically changed for a nation that was once the shining beacon of freedom for the world to behold. The initial response to COVID was warranted by the public a year ago, as many didn't know how serious the virus was. But it was what the government did and how it reacted to the new Delta variant that really started to awaken normal citizens to the alarming actions that are taking place in the land down under today.
Over the weekend in which violent protesters turned out across Australia's major cities of Sydney or Melbourne is not what many people in the community here wanted to see, and absolutely not what politicians wanted to see. The politician Scott Morrison wants lockdowns to become a thing of the past, but that won't be possible until 70 to 80% of adults here in Australia are fully vaccinated, Robin. But the problem for him, of course, is Australia's vaccination rates are just too slow. Just over 20% of the population here in Australia is fully vaccinated.
It's not hard to see that the mainstream media has become nothing more than the state's mouthpiece for their new, harsher demands. If you want the lockdowns to end, you'll comply. The compliance now being that 70 to 80% of all residents get vaccinated for normal to return. On top of that, the state now feels obligated to take the responsibility to protect health of its citizens.
That have been telling their citizens to stay at home across major cities in Sydney, in the capital Canberra, and
taking
Melbourne.
Them against their will, even if they're double vaxxed and even if they test negative, in what the state is now calling their repatriation camps.
At Darwin, where 3 people have escaped from the Howard Springs COVID quarantine facility. Talia Sava's there for us. Talia, good morning. There's a search underway right now.
Yes, that's right, Davina. Good morning to you. We've been told the trio scaled the fence in the early hours of this morning. Now, major police checkpoints have been set up around Howard Springs for the past several hours. As you can see in these pictures, they've been conducting thorough searches in car boots, checking vehicle registrations, cars and buses alike.
And if you're still in disbelief, these images were posted by anonymous users on 4chan's politically incorrect board only a day after they opened.
So if I was at that balcony...
There has to be lines everywhere drawn, yes? And one of the lines is you cannot leave your balcony and you cannot go to someone else. Where it makes no sense or doesn't seem right to you, that is the line, and that's what the law is, yeah? And that's how it goes, yeah?
The law.
Well, the show direction.
There's a law that says that.
Direction, yes, there's a show direction, yeah? And how the behaviour must be done, especially in this area, because it's much more highly infectious and likely to infect the people, yeah?
Highly infectious when all of us people are negative.
And otherwise, the next time it's a $5,000 fine, and we don't want to do that.
It's a $5,000 fine if what?
If you breach again,
If I walk out onto that path,
without your mask on, for no reason other than the
I said, what's going on? Are you guys testing me for COVID? What's happening? They said, no, you're getting taken away and you have no choice. You're going to Howard Springs. So I just said, look, I don't consent to this. I don't understand why I can't just self-isolate at home like a lot of other people are doing. And they just said, we've just been told from higher up where to take you, and that's all that there is.
Thankfully, Australia's elections take place next year. Judging by the recent polls taken in that country, anyone can see that things aren't going well for the Liberals who continue to toe the line for Big Pharma to push their products on a non-compliant citizenry. And if you take into account how liberally biased these polls are, it's probably much worse. Consensus for the narrative in Australia is depleting fast. Despite this, leadership continues doubling down, but they're fighting a losing battle. This is footage the media and establishment corporations prefer you not to see. It destroys their narrative because so much of it relies on uncertainty and compliance. The bigger this movement becomes, the less power they have over you and your thoughts. Those of us on Uncensored Forums see your situations daily, Australia. As your warmer months come to an end, you're inspiring the Northern Hemisphere to pick up where you all left off and continue the fight for freedom from state tyranny when our spring arrives.